Lesson number 4, Monday, October 17th, From the Power of the Grave. According to Psalm 49:15, what led the psalmist to be so sure of his final resurrection? Verse 15 says, "But God will redeem my soul from the power of the grave, for he shall receive me." In contrast to those who perished without that assurance, Psalm 47, 6-14 says, "They that trust in their wealth and boast themselves in the multitude of their riches, none of them can by any means redeem his brother, nor give to God a ransom for him. For the redemption of their soul is precious, and it ceases forever, that he should still live forever and not see corruption. For he sees that wise men die, likewise the fool and the brutish person perish, and leave their wealth to others. Their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever, and their dwelling places to all generations. They call their lands after their own names. Nevertheless, man being in honor abides not. He is like the beasts that perish. This their way is their folly, yet their posterity approve their sayings. Like sheep they are laid in the grave. Death shall feed on them, and the upright shall have dominion over them in the morning, and their kind, their beauty, shall consume in the grave from their dwelling. But God will redeem my soul from the power of the grave, for he shall receive me." Psalm 49 speaks about the false confidence of the foolish, who trust in their wealth and boast in the multitude of their riches, who call their lands after their own names, and who live only to bless themselves. They act as if their houses and their own glory would last forever. But the foolish forget that their honor vanishes, and that they perish just as the beasts too. Like sheep, they are laid in the grave. Death shall feed on them, and their beauty shall be consumed in the grave, for far from their indwelling. As stated by Job centuries earlier, Job 1:21, "Naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked I will depart." Also found in 1 Timothy 6:7. The psalmist points out that both the fool and the wise die, leaving their wealth to others. But there is a radical contrast between them. On one side are the foolish who perish, even though trying to find assurance in their own transient possessions and accomplishments. In contrast, the wise behold, beyond the human saga and the prison of the grave, the glorious reward that God has reserved for them. 1 Peter 1:4. With this perception in mind, the psalmist could say with confidence, "But God will redeem my soul from the power of the grave, for he shall receive me." Consistent with the Old Testament hope, this statement is not suggesting that at the time of his death, the soul of the psalmist would fly immediately into heaven. The psalmist is simply saying that he would not remain forever in the grave. A time would come when God would redeem him from the death and take him to the heavenly courts. Once again, the certainty of the future resurrection is depicted, bringing hope, assurance, and meaning to this present existence. So, the wise will receive a far more glorious and everlasting reward than what the foolish could gather for themselves during this short life. What are the ways that you have been able to see the folly of those who trust in their own wealth and accomplishments? How can keeping your eyes on the cross protect you from falling into the same error? From the book Testimonies for the Church, Volume 2, page 197, it says, "The sacrifice for man was infinite, beyond the comprehension of the strongest intellect. Yet men who claim to be partakers of these heavenly benefits, which were brought to them at so great a cost, are too thoroughly selfish to make any real sacrifice for God. Their minds are upon the world, the world, the world." In the 49th Psalm we read, "They that trust in their wealth and boast themselves in the multitude of their riches, none of them can by any means redeem his brother, nor give to God a ransom for him. For the redemption of the soul is precious, and it ceaseth forever." If all would bear in mind and could in a small degree appreciate the immense sacrifice made by Christ, they would feel rebuked for their fearfulness and their supreme selfishness. Have a blessed day.